Okay, greetings one and all, and welcome to this math video. In this math video, we'll be considering the topic simplifying algebraic expressions. Yes, simplifying algebraic expressions. Let's begin. Okay, so the first question says we have 1.1a plus 3.3 minus 5 open bracket 3 minus 0.2a. And what we have to do is we have to simplify this. Basically, we have to um, combine the like terms and simplify it insofar as possible. So we have, well, the first thing that we will have to do is we have to deal with the brackets, deal with the stuff in the parentheses. They are unlike terms, so we cannot do anything with that. We have a 3, we have 0.2a, so we cannot subtract them. What we could do is we could distribute the -5. And so we have -5 multiplied by 3, which is -15. And then we have -5 multiplied by -0.2a. And -5 multiplied by -0.2 is definitely positive because a negative and a negative is positive. That's going to be +1. And so that's what we have a -5 times 3 is going to be -15, and -5 times -0.2a is going to be 1a. And so now we have 1.1a plus 3.3 minus 15 plus 1a. We're going to combine the 1.1a and the 1a together. And we're going to combine the 3.3 and the 15 together. And so we have 1.1a plus 1a plus 3.3 minus 15. And so we take the whole term along with its sign. And so we have 1.1a, 1.1a plus 1a. So we have 1.1a plus 1a. And we have 3.3 minus 15. So we do 1.1a plus 1a, that's going to be 2.1a. And we do 3.3 minus 15, that's definitely going to be 11.7. So our answer is 2.1a minus 11.7. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Here we have 3x divided by y squared, all raised to the power of 3. What we're going to do is we're going to send the 3 to the numerator, and we're also going to send the 3 to the denominator. And so what we're going to do is we're going to raise 3. What we're going to do is we're going to raise 3 to the power of 3 and x to the power of 3. So what is that? That's 3 to the power of 3 and x to the power of 3. And so basically what we do is we put the 3 for the 3, and we put the 3 for the x. So we say 3 to the power of 3 and x to the power of 3. For this one, what we do is we have to multiply the powers. So if we have y squared all raised to the power of 3, then what we have to do with the exponents is we have to multiply the exponents or multiply the indices. And so that's the rule. So what we have 3 to the power of 3, and 3 to the power of 3 is definitely 27, and we have x to the power of 3. And 2 times 3 is definitely 6. And so we have y over 6. So our answer is 27 x cubed all over y to the 6. And we leave it just like that. Okay, next we have x over 5 plus 7x over 3. And so what we're going to do is we're going to find the lowest common multiple of 5 and 3. And so we list the multiples of 3 and we list the multiples of 5. And we circle the lowest common multiple. Indeed, 15 is the lowest common multiple of 3 and 5. And so we're going to say, okay, what number when we multiply it by 5 gives us 15, and what number when we multiply it by 3 gives us 15. Indeed, 5 times 3 is 15. So we multiply 3 by the top and bottom of this fraction. And indeed, 5 times 3 or 3 times 5 is 15. So we multiply 5 times 7x and 5 times 3. So we multiply 5 by the top and the bottom, and we multiply 3 by the top and the bottom. All right, so what is 3 times x? 3 times x is 3x, all right? 3 times x is 3x, right? And what is 3 times 5? That's going to be 15. 7 times 5 is going to be 35. So we have 35x, and 3 times 5 is definitely 15. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add these two fractions. Seeing that they have the same denominators, we can just add. 3x plus 35x is going to be 38x over 15. And so our answer here is going to be 38x over 15. Okay, let's move on to the next question here. We have two fractions and we have to divide them. We have 45g all over 8 divided by 15g squared all over 24. What we're going to do is we're going to switch flip. So we're going to keep this fraction. We're going to switch the sign from a division sign to a division sign. Sorry, we're going to switch the sign from a division sign to a multiplication sign. And then we're going to flip. We're going to put the 24 on top and put the 15g squared at the bottom. And so we have 45g all over 8 multiplied by 24 all over 15g squared. What we're going to do here is we're going to multiply 45g times 24 and 8 times 15g squared. And so we have 1080g all divided by 120g squared. But what is g squared? Isn't g squared g times g? And so this means that we could cancel out this g with the g at the bottom. And so we cancel that g with that g. And so we are left with 1080 divided by 120g because the two g's are canceled out. And then we take this opportunity to divide. We divide top and bottom by 120. And so we have 1080 divided by 120, that's going to give us 9. And 120 divided by 120 is definitely going to be 1. And so we have 1 times g because this g is still there. And so 1 times g is definitely going to be g. So our answer is 9 over g. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Here we have the question that says simplify. We have 3 multiplied by 2x minus 3 minus 4, open bracket, x plus 7. What we're going to do here is we're going to multiply the 3 times the x. And, sorry, we're going to multiply the 3 times the 2x and the 3 times the negative 3. 3 times 2x is definitely going to be 6x. So 3 times 2x is definitely going to be 6x. And 3 times 3 is definitely 9. We keep the negative sign. Negative 4 multiplied by x is negative 4x. And negative 4 multiplied by 7 is definitely going to be 28. At this point, we need to combine like terms. So we have the 6x and the negative 4x. We're going to combine them together. And the constants, the negative 9 and the negative 28, we're going to combine them together. And so what do we have? We have 6x minus 4x, which is going to be 2x. And then we have a negative 9 minus 28, which is definitely going to be negative 37. And so we have 2x minus 37. Okay, let's move on to the next part of the question. And that's our final answer because this is our final answer because 2x and 37, they are not like terms, so we cannot simplify further. Okay, the next question, we have 2p to the third power divided by q, this whole fraction raised to the third power. We're going to do the same thing that we did in one of the previous questions. We're going to take the 3 and send it to the top number and also send it to the bottom number. And then we're going to take this 3 and we're going to raise 2 to the power of 3, and then we're going to raise p to the third power to the third power. And so what does it look like? 2 to the third power, that's definitely going to be 8. And then we have p to the third power, all raised to the third power. So we're going to multiply the 2 powers on the outside, the one on the inside and the one on the outside. So we have 8 times p. We have 8p, all raised to the 3 times 3. And then we have q to the third power. So we have 8p, right? And p is raised to the power of 3 times 3. And then we have q to the third power, which we just continue it over here. We write it down again. And 3 times 3 is definitely 9. So we have 8p to the power of 9, all divided by q to the third power. Okay, and that brings us to the next question, which is we have to add these two fractions. We have 5a divided by 6 plus a over 9. What we're going to do is we're going to find the LCM of 6 and 9. And so we list the multiples of 6, we list the multiples of 9. Indeed, the lowest common multiple of 6 and 9 is definitely 18. And so we ask ourselves, what times 6 gives us 18? That's definitely 3. So we multiply the top by 3 and the bottom by 3. And what times 9 gives us 18? Well, that's definitely 2. So we multiply the top by 2 and the bottom by 2. And so we're going to multiply 5a times 3. That's definitely going to be 15a. And 6 times 3, that's definitely going to be 18. And 8 times 2, that's going to be 2a. And 9 times 2, that's going to be 18. And so we're going to add these two fractions. They have the same denominator, so we can add as follows. 15a plus 2a is definitely going to be 17a. And so we have 17a divided by 18. And that's our answer. Okay, moving right along, we have this question. We have 5 plus 3, open bracket, 2 minus 7z plus 4z. What we're going to do is we're going to take the 3 and multiply it by the 2. And then we're going to take this 3 and multiply it by 7z. So 3 times 2 is 6. And 3 times 7z is going to be 21z. And so we have 5 here plus 6 minus 2 21z plus 4z. What we're going to do here is we're going to combine the like terms. So we have 21z, that is rather negative 21z plus 4z. And so let's figure what that is. But before we do that, what I did first is I added the 6 and the 5. So 6 plus 5 is definitely 11. And we have negative 21z plus 4z, which is going to be negative 17z. So we have 11 minus 17z. And that's our final answer because this is a constant. This is a number with a variable. So this has z associated, this does not, so we cannot simplify it further. They are unlike terms, so we leave it as such. Okay, now we have another fraction that another two fractions that we have to, in this case, we have to subtract them. So the first thing that we're gonna do is we're going to find the lowest common multiple of 4 and 5. We list the multiples of 4 and list the multiples of 5. Indeed, the lowest common multiple of 4 and 5 is 20. So we're gonna say, okay, well, what times 4 gives us 20? Well, 4 times 5 is 20, so we're going to multiply the top by 5 and the bottom by 5. And we're going to figure out what times 5 gives us 20. Well, 5 times 4 is 20. So we multiply the top by 4 and the bottom by 4. And so we say, okay, all right. So 3t times 5 is definitely going to be 15t, and 4 times 5 is 20. Then we say 2t multiplied by 4 is going to be 8t. And then 5 times 4 is definitely going to be 20. Now we're going to subtract, right? 15t minus 8t, 15t minus 8t, all over 20. And so that's going to be 15 minus 8 is definitely 7. And so our answer is 7t all over 20. And that's our answer. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Here we have 2t divided by 2t divided by z squared all raised to the power of 3. What we're going to do here is we're going to send the 3 to the top number and send the 3 to the bottom number. And so now we have 2t all raised to the power of 3 and z squared all raised to the power of 3. So what we're going to do is we're going to send the 3 to the 2 and send the 3 to the t. And so we have so we have 2 to the third power and t to the third power. Meanwhile, at the bottom, we are going to multiply the 2 and the 3. And so we know that 2 to the third power, well, that's definitely 8 because 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. And we keep the t to the third power, and we're going to do 2 times 3, which is 6. And so our answer here is 8t to the third power, all divided by 7, all divided by z to the 6th power. And that's our answer. Okay, the next question here, we have 3p divided by 3p divided by 7 minus 5p all over 14. We have to find the lowest common multiple of 7 and 14. First, we list the multiples of 7 and list the multiples of 14. And indeed, the lowest common multiple is definitely 14. The lowest common multiple of 7 and 14 is 14. And so we ask ourselves, what times 7 gives us 14? Well, 7 times 2 is 14. So we multiply the top by 2 and the bottom by 2. And what times 14 gives us 14? Well, 14 times 1 is 14. And so what do we say? Okay, let's multiply. Well, 3p times 2 is definitely going to be 6p, and 7 times 2 is definitely going to be 14. And we multiply on the side again. 5p times 1 is 5p, and 14 times 1 is 14. Now we have the fractions that have the same denominators, and so what we're going to do here is we're going to subtract the numerators. So we have 6p minus 5p, and 6p minus 5p is definitely 1p, but 1p is the same as p, so we have p over 14, and that's our final answer. Okay, let's move on to the next question. We have 7 minus 2, open bracket, 3 minus 5x, close bracket, plus 4x. What we're going to do here is we're going to distribute the 2 across the terms in this parentheses. So we have negative 2 multiplied by 3. I should say we distribute the negative 2. So we have negative 2 multiplied by 3, which is going to be 6, negative 6 that is, and negative 2 multiplied by negative 5. And so we keep down this, we keep the 7. We say negative 2 multiplied by 3 is going to be 6, negative 6 that is. And negative 2 multiplied by a negative 5, x is going to be positive 10x, because a negative times a negative is definitely a positive, and we have the plus 4x. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to combine like terms, but incidentally here, the terms are already grouped together. So what we're going to do is we're going to operate on like terms. And so we have 7 minus 6, which is 1, and 10 plus 10x plus 4x is 14. And so what we have 7 minus 6 is 1, and 10x plus 4x is 14x. Okay, let's move on to the next question. We have 2y over 5 minus 3y over 10. You define the lowest common multiple of 5 and 10. So we list the multiples of 5, and we list the multiples of 10. And what that means is that 10 is the lowest common multiple. So the lowest common multiple of 5 and 10 is 10. So we ask ourselves, what times 5 gives us 10, and what times 10 gives us 10? So first, let's see with the 5. What times 5 gives us 10? Well, 5 times 2 is 10. So we multiply the numerator by 2 and we multiply the denominator by 2. And so for this one, we say, okay, what times 10 gives us 10? Well, 10 times 1 is 10. So we multiply the numerator by 1. We multiply the denominator by 1. And so we multiply. So 2y times 2 is definitely going to be 4y. And 5 times 2 is definitely going to be 10. And 3y times 1 is 3y. And 10 times 1 is definitely going to be 10. Next, we subtract, because the denominators are already the same, so we can subtract 4y minus 3y is definitely going to be 1y. And 1y is the same thing as y, so we have y over 10. And that's our final answer right there. Okay, let's move on to this next question. We have 5m divided by n to the third power, all raised to the power of 2. And so we're going to send the 2 to the numerator and send the 2 to the denominator. And so we have 5m raised to the power of 2 and n to the third power raised to the power of 2. So what are we going to do? We are going to say, okay, 5 squared. So 5 squared, so we're going to say 5 squared, and we're going to say m squared. And then we're going to multiply 3 times 2. 3 times 2 is definitely 6. What is 5 squared? 5 squared is definitely 25. And we keep the m squared. And then we have n to the 6. Well, 3 times 2 is 6, and so we have n to the 6. So 25 m squared all over n to the 6. Okay, let's move on to the next question. We have 13 minus 3 open bracket t plus 5 close bracket plus 4t. What we're going to do is we're going to multiply negative 3 times t, and then we're going to multiply negative 3 times 5. Well, 13 minus 3t. Well, what we have, negative 3 multiplied by t is negative 3t, and negative 3 multiplied by 5 is negative 15. And so we have 13 minus 3t minus 15 plus 4t. And so what we're going to do? Well, we're going to combine the like terms. So we have negative 3t, we have positive 4t, and then the numbers or the constants are going to come together as well. So negative 3t, we keep the sign in front. That's very important. Plus 4t, we keep the sign in front. And then we have 13, positive 13, and negative 15. We keep the sign in front. Now, what is negative 3t plus 4t? Well, that's definitely going to be 1t. And what is 13 minus 15? Well, 13 minus 15 is definitely going to be negative 2. And so that means that our final answer is t minus 2. And that's how we solve this, or that's how we simplify this expression. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Here we have 6 minus 2, bracket 5 plus 3y, close bracket plus 8y. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to multiply to negative 2 by everything that's inside of the brackets. And so we're going to say, okay, negative 2 times 5, which is negative 10, negative 2 times 3y, which is negative 6y. And then we're going to group certainly we bring down the 6 and we bring down the 8y. But now we already have them grouped in like terms because we have negative 6y plus 8y, and we have 6 minus 10. So let's subtract. What is 6 minus 10? 6 minus 10 is negative 4, and negative 6y plus 8y is definitely going to be positive 2y, so our answer is negative 4 plus 2y. Okay, next question, we have 6 minus x, this quantity, this entity, multiplied by 3 plus 2x. And so the method that we do here is called the FOIL method. What we're going to do is we're going to multiply the 6 times the 3. We're going to multiply the 6 times the 2x. So basically, we're going to take this number and multiply it by every term inside of this parentheses. And then we're going to take the second number and multiply it, or the second term rather, and multiply it by every term inside of the second parentheses. So we have negative x multiplied by 3. We have a negative x multiplied by 2x. And so that's what we do, and that's how we get our answer. So we have 6 multiplied by 3, which is going to give us 18. Then we have 6 multiplied by 2x, which is going to give us 12x. Then we have a negative x multiplied by 3, which gives us negative 3x. Then we have negative x plus 2x. It's going to give us negative 2x squared. All right, now we're going to combine like terms. What is 12x minus 3x? Well, 12x minus 3x is 9x. Now we have 18 plus 9x minus 2x squared. None of these terms are like terms, and so what we're going to do is we're going to leave it just like that. And so that's our answer for this question. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Here we have 3 plus 7, open bracket, 5 minus 2b plus 4b. So what we're going to do is we're going to multiply the 7 by the 5, and we're going to multiply the 7 by the negative 2b. Indeed, 7 times 5 is 35, and 7 times negative 2b is negative 14b. And so what we're going to do, we're going to combine the negative 14b plus 4b, and also the 3 plus the 5, and also the 3 plus the 35. So the ones that are like terms. What is 3 plus 35? 3 plus 35 is definitely 38. And what is negative 14b plus 4? What is negative 14b plus 4b? That's going to be negative 10b. So our answer here is 38 minus 10b. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Now we have 3a all over 5 plus a over 6. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to find the lowest common multiple of these two denominators. So 5 and 6, we list the multiples of 5, we list the multiples of 6, and the lowest common multiple is definitely 30, right? The lowest common multiple between 5 and 6 is definitely 30. And so we're going to ask ourselves, what times 5 gives us 30, and what times 6 gives us 30? Well, in terms of 5, what times 5 gives us 30? The answer is 6. So 5 times 6 is 30. So we're going to multiply 6 by both the numerator and the denominator. And then for 6, 8 times 5, sorry, for 6 times 5 is 30. So we're going to multiply the top and bottom by 5. Okay, so we have 3a multiplied by 6, which is going to be 18a, and 5 multiplied by 6 is going to be 30. Then we have 8 times 5. 8 times 5 is 5a. Then we have 6 times 5, which is definitely going to be 30. Moving right along, we have to add. So we have 18a plus 5a, and 18a plus 5a is definitely going to be 23a all over 30. And so that's our final answer. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Here we have 8 minus 3, open bracket, 2x minus 5 plus 7x. We're going to take the negative 3 and we're going to multiply it by the 2x. We're going to take the negative 3, we're going to multiply it by the negative 5. So negative 3 multiplied by 2x and negative 3 multiplied by negative 5. Negative 3 multiplied by 2x is going to be negative 6x. And negative 3 multiplied by negative 5, remember, and that a negative multiplied by a negative is going to be a positive. So negative 3 multiplied by negative 5 is going to be positive 15. And so we just bring down the other numbers behind. So 8 and also the positive 7x. And so what we have to take the negative 6x and also with the positive 7x and combine them. And we're going to take the 8 and the 15 and combine them. So we have negative 6x plus 7x, and we have 8 plus 15. What is negative x plus 7x? That's definitely going to be 1x. And what is 8 plus 15? That 8 plus 15 is definitely 23. So we have 1x plus 23, and 1x plus 23, that's x plus 23. And so that's our answer. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Here we have 4y squared divided by x all raised to the power of 3. And so what we're going to do, we're going to take the 3 and we're going to send it to the top number, and we're going to take the 3, we're going to send it to the bottom number. And so we have 4y squared. So we have 4 times y squared all raised to the power of 3. We're going to take the 3 and put it on top of the 4, and we're going to take the 3 and put it on top of the y squared. And so we're going to say 4 cubed, and then we have y squared all raised to the power of 3. And we have at the bottom x cubed. What is 4 raised to the power of 3? That's 4 times 4 times 4, which is going to be 64. And y squared all raised to the power of 3, we're going to multiply those powers. And so 2 times 3 is definitely going to be 6. So we have 64 y raised to the power of 6, all divided by x to the third power. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Here we have 2x all over y to the fourth power all raised to the power of 3. What we're going to do here is we're going to take the 3 and we're going to put on top of the 2x. We're going to take the 3 and put it on top of the y to the fourth power. So what do we have? We have 2x raised to the power of 3, and when we have y to the 4 raised to the power of 3. And this is going to be equal to 2 to the third power and x to the third power, because we send the 3 on top of the 2 and we send the 3 on top of the x. At the bottom, we're going to multiply. We have y to the fourth power all raised to the power of 3. So we have 4 times 3. But what is 2 to the third power? That's 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. We have x to the power of 3. And then 4 times 3 is definitely 12. So our answer is x to the third power. Always, so we have x to the, so our answer is 8x to the third power divided by y to the power of 12. Okay, let's move on to the next question. We have 7 plus 4 open bracket x minus 5 minus 3x. What we're going to do here is we're going to multiply the 4 times the x. We're going to multiply the 4 times the negative 5. Indeed, we have to bring down the 7 and the negative x. Sorry, the negative 3x. And so what we're going to do here, we're going to combine. So we're going to combine the 4x and negative 3x because they are like terms. And then we're going to combine the 7 and the negative 20 because they are numbers and they're constants, so they are like terms. Okay, now let's subtract. 7 minus 20 is definitely going to be negative 13, and 4x minus 3x is going to be 1x. And so we have negative 13 plus 1x, and that's just going to be negative 13 plus x, and that's our final answer. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Here we have 2 minus 5 open bracket y minus 7 close bracket plus 3y. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to distribute the negative 5. And so we're going to say negative 5 multiplied by y, and then negative 5 multiplied by negative 7. Okay, so negative 5 multiplied by y and negative 5 multiplied by negative 7. That's going to be negative 5 multiplied by y, which is negative 5y, and negative 5 multiplied by negative 7 is going to be positive 35, because a negative times a negative is definitely going to be a positive. And so we have 2 minus 5y plus 35 plus 3y. We're going to combine like terms. 2 plus 35 and 5y plus 3y. Well, 2 plus 35 is 37. Negative 5y plus 3y is definitely going to be 2y. And so we have 37 minus 2y. Okay, next question. We have 5 plus 3 open bracket 2 minus 7x plus 4x. Okay, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to multiply 3 times 2. And then we're going to multiply 3 times 7x. 3 times 2 is definitely going to be 6. And 3 times 7x is definitely going to be negative 21x. Now we're going to add 5 and 6 since they're like terms, which is going to give us 11. And then we're going to add negative 21x plus 4x, which is definitely negative 17. So we have 11 minus 17x. Okay, let's move on to the next question. We have this one, 3y minus 3y over 4 minus 2y all over 5. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to find the lowest common multiple of 4 and 5. So we begin by listing the multiples of 4 and 5. And the lowest common multiple is definitely going to be 20. And so what we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, what times 4 is going to give me 20? But 4 times 5 is going to give me 20. And so whatever we do to the top, whatever we do to the bottom, we must do to the top. And so we have 3y multiplied by 5 and 4 multiplied by 5. Okay, now we go on to the other side. What times 5 gives us 20? That's definitely going to be 4. So we multiply the top and the bottom by 4. And so what do we have? Well, 3y times 5 is 15y. 4 times 5 is 20. And for the other side, we have 2y times x. I'm sorry, 2y times 4. 2 times 4 is 8. So we have 8y. Next, we have 4 times 5, which is 20, or 5 times 4, which is 20. And so we're good because both of the denominators are the same. Now we can subtract the numerators. So we have 5y minus 8y, which is definitely going to be 7y all over 20. We do not change the denominator. And so our answer is 7y all over 20. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Here we have 3x to the third power all over y, all raised to the fourth power. We're going to take the 4 and we're going to send it to the top. We're going to take the 4, we're going to send it to the bottom. And so we have 3x raised to the power of 3. And our whole thing is raised to the power of 4. And we have y to the power of 4. What we're going to do is we're going to take 4 and raise and put it on top of 3. And we're going to take 4 and use it for x to the third power. And so what we're gonna do is say 3 to the fourth power and x to the third power all raised to the power of 4. Well, x to the third power, what we're gonna do is we're gonna multiply the exponents by each other. So 3 times 4 is definitely gonna be 12. So we have 81x to the 12 because 3 times 4 is definitely 12 all over y to the fourth power. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Here we have 3 open bracket 2x minus 5x minus 7 multiplied by 5 minus 3x. The first thing we're going to do is distribute. So we have 3 times 2x, which is definitely going to be 6x. And 3 times negative 5 is negative 15. And we take negative 7. And we take negative 7 multiplied by 5. Negative 7 multiplied by 5 is going to be negative 35. And negative 7 multiplied by negative 3x is going to be positive 21x. Okay, next what we're going to do is we're going to take the 6x and we're going to add it to the 21x. So we have 6x plus 21x. And then we're going to take the negative 15 and then we're going to subtract that with the negative 35. And so what we have 6x plus 21x. What is that? That's going to be 27x minus 15 minus 32. And so what we're going to do, we're going to subtract. So we have negative 15. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Here we have 3 plus 2 open bracket 5 minus. So we have 3 plus 2 open bracket 5 minus 4x close bracket plus 9x. We're going to multiply the 2 by the 5 and the 2 by the 4x. 2 times 5 is 10 and 2 times 4 is 8x. So 2 times 4x is 8x. And so again, 2 times 5 is 10 and 2 times 4x is 8x. And so we're going to combine the like terms. 3 plus 10 is definitely going to be 13. Negative 8x plus 9x. Negative 8x plus 9x is definitely going to be positive 1. And so we have 13 plus 1x, which is 13 plus x, because 1x is basically the same as x. Okay, let's move on to the next question. We have 2 open bracket x minus 3 minus 4x plus 4. Okay, so what we have 2 open bracket x minus 3 minus 4 open bracket x plus 2. That's what I should say. 2 open bracket x minus 3 minus 4 open bracket x plus 2. We're going to take 2 and multiply it by x, and we're going to take 2 multiplied by negative 3. Then we're going to take negative 4 and multiply it by x. We're going to take negative 4 multiplied by 2. So 2 times x is definitely going to be 2x, and 2 times negative 3 is going to be negative 6. Then we say negative 4 multiplied by x, that's going to be negative 4x. Then we say negative 4 multiplied by 2, it's going to be negative 8. We group the like terms, so we're going to group the 2x and the negative 4x together, and the negative 6 minus the 8, and so we have 2x minus 4x, which is definitely going to be 2x, negative 2x rather. And we have negative 6 minus 8 is going to be negative 14. So we have negative 2x minus 14. Okay, let's move on to well, that brings us to the end of this video. Hopefully you understand what happened inside this video, and it'll be good. It'll be awesome to have, and it'll be awesome to see you in the next video. Take care.